What's good? What's good? It's the one and only, but what do I know? Boxing coming back at y'all with another one, man. So we got Jaron boots Ennis and a conspiracy theory going around with Eddie Hearn. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get into that, right? Because boxing is it's a dirty business dressed up as a sport. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this. Let me give you my opinion. All right. So shout out to Boxing News 24 says Eddie Hearn orchestrating Jaron Ennis exit to crown Conor Benn. Okay. It says WBO welterweight champion Brian Norman father Brian Norman Sr. believes that Jaron Boots Ennis promoter Eddie Hearn is trying to get him to vacate his IBF 147-pound title so that his flawed matchroom fighter Conor Benn can capture the belt and use it to set up big money fights. Norman Sr. thinks that Hearn's reason for not putting together a unification fight between Boots and Ennis wanted against his son. Let me read that again. I'm sorry. Norman Sr. thinks that Hearn's reason for not putting together the unification fight that Boots Ennis wanted against his son Norman Jr. and then losing the IBF purse bid for his mandatory Karen Chawonka are a part of the plot to get Ennis to vacate his IBF title and move up to 154. This would free up the belt Conor Benn to claim and then take advantage of his position as a champion instead of lucrative fights against many fighters who would never in a million years agree to fight the dangerous Boots. Conor, who is 27 years old, would be free to defend his IBF title in the US against big names like Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, and make big bank. Those two would never agree to fight Ennis because they'd be overmatched and he can't sell on pay-per-view. Benn, who is 23-0 with 14 knockouts, is ranked number 3 in the IBF rankings and would have no chance of winning that belt if he had to go through Boots Ennis. And you know what's crazy is I was actually thinking, like, what if Eddie Hearn can make a fight between Benn and Boots? That would be huge for the UK. But then I forgot about Benn not being able to fight in the UK still. That's crazy. But if Boots vacates the IBF title, Conor Benn would only have to defeat the number 1 Karen Chawonka to win it, which still wouldn't be an easy task, but there would be a chance. Eddie Hearn used Boots to get Conor Benn's position to that IBF title. He's going to convince Boots to go to 154, and Conor Benn is going to be the champion at 147. Watch what I tell you, Brian Norman Sr. said on Instagram, coming up with his theory on why promoter Eddie Hearn lost the purse bid for Jaron Ennis and the IBF mandatory Karen Chawonka. And bailed on negotiations with WBO champion Brian Norman Jr. over not wanting to pay an extra $500,000 to get the fight made. It's strange. It's a strange theory that Brian Norman Sr. has, but if he is correct, we'll soon see Ennis vacate his title or his IBF title and move up to 154, allowing Conor Benn to dumpster dive for the 147-pound belt along with Karen Chawonka. Whoever emerges with the IBF title can make good money and the kind that Ennis would never get due to him being high risk, low reward, and due to his lack of popularity. So, oh my goodness, that sucks. Now I want you guys to, I'm gonna continue to read this. Shout out to Boxing News 24/7. It's good to it's really good to like look up and just read these articles, man. Like I like to look at interviews, but I also love to read articles, and I mean that just started from years ago. Just search, like I would just get on the internet and just search up, stuff, type up each like boxer's name, and then just type up, just look up information on them to see what's going on and see what's written. And I've learned a lot of stuff doing it that way, so that's why I still like doing this. But anyways, it says Jaron Boots Ennis could possibly be making a mistake if he chooses to vacate his IBF title and move up to 154 pounds to expand his horizon for bigger fights. Ennis, who is 32-0 with 29 knockouts, will lose his size, power, and talent advantage. He's been enjoying the Benn at 147 pounds. He's had a good thing going fighting welterweights against the smaller scrubs that he's made decent money without fighting anyone of quality. The best name on the 27-year-old's record or resume is David Avanesian, a career French contender who's in serious decline at 35. Boots got hit a lot against David Avanesian and did not look even slightly impressive in that fight last July. If Ennis moves up to 154, he will face guys with power to hurt him, and his career may quickly fall apart. For a fighter as easy as to hit his boots, he might fall apart when he faces guys like Siri Buanchanka or Buanchak.
Did he just lose or he just fought?
Yeah, that's the one that fought Virgil Ortiz, but a lot of people thought he won. Virgil Ortiz, bro. Virgil Ortiz didn't want that work when they were at 140. Stop the count. They didn't want that work, bro. They were calling for Virgil Ortiz. Virgil Ortiz didn't want that work at 147, so stop the count. Israel Madrimov. I don't think Israel. I think Israel is a good fighter, but I don't think he would beat Boots. Charles Conwell. That's a good fight, but I think Charles Conwell is a come forward type fighter. I think Boots has more in his arsenal. I would love to see that fight, but I think Boots will beat Charles Conwell. Jesus Ramos, that's another good fight, come forward fighter, but I think Boots has more in his arsenal. Xander Zayas, I think Boots beats him. Terrence Crawford, I think Terrence Crawford would beat Boots. Errol Spence Jr., that's a very good fight. Erickson Lubin, I think Boots beats Erickson Lubin in a good fight though, and Burkham Makamukaliev, I think Boots beats him as well. Ennis' new promoter Eddie Hearn failed to negotiate a fight with then WBO welterweight champion Brian Norman Jr. this week. The negotiations fell apart over a mere $500K, which shouldn't have been a big hurdle to overcome if there were desire to make by Hearn to make Boots to make that fight happen. That's not Boots' decision, so you can't put that on Boots. That's all on Hearn. Also this week, Hearn lost a purse bid for Boots' mandatory defense against his IBF belt against Karen Chwanka. This was even more worrisome because if Boots intended to keep his IBF title, he'd now lose out on fighting in a front sold out Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia. And would be looking to fight in Europe somewhere, possibly Germany. Even if Hearn was unwilling to open his pocketbook and invest in his fighter, Boots, he should have been willing to pay out out of his own pocket to make one of the fights happen. Shockingly, Boots and Hearn let the Norman. No, Boots didn't let that go. That had nothing to do with Boots, so you can't put that on Boots. But anyways, Hearn let the Norman Jr. fight slip through their fingers over $500K. You wonder if they will end up regretting this if Boots winds up moving to 154 and getting beaten right off the bat by Madrimov or one of the other big punchers. It's a very tough weight class. It's very deep. There's a lot of talented guys. He's going to be giving up size, and that's one of his advantages at 147 pounds. Said Chris Algieri, Pro Box YouTube channel. Ennis is crazy to move up to 154 rather than staying at welterweight because he's giving away his advantages. We already talked about that. So let me go ahead and give my thoughts on it because I don't think that he's crazy for moving up to 154 pounds, even though 154 it's a good division. Not as stacked as it once used to be, but it's a good division. Now, overall, do I believe it? I mean, it's very possible. It's not the first time Eddie Hearn would have done some stuff like that. I mean, if you guys don't remember, when Luis Ortiz was actually like the boogeyman of the heavyweight division. When he was Anthony Joshua's WBA mandatory, I remember him signing with Eddie Hearn, and I'm pretty sure Eddie Hearn promised him that fight. But in reality, Eddie Hearn kept him away from Anthony Joshua. And that's not me throwing any shade at Anthony Joshua, but if you was there, you remember like that. That's just the part of the sport. Eddie Hearn's gonna look out for his his people, and and I'll never forget that he signed Luis Ortiz. Luis Ortiz was the WBA mandatory and did not make the fight with Anthony Joshua at all. So I mean, it wouldn't be the first time he's done something like that. As far as Jaron Ennis going to the 154-pound division, I mean, I don't think it's anything wrong with it. He's a big 147-pound fighter, so I don't see anything wrong with that. We'll just have to see. Time is the biggest snitch because it tells it all. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. But what do I know?